Have you ever noticed that as you grow older, something deep inside you begins to shift? The things that once felt urgent, keeping up with friends, replying to every message, being part of every gathering, start to feel more like background noise. And slowly, a strange kind of freedom begins to emerge. You begin to question why you're still doing all of this, and for whom. And here's something most people won't tell you. After 60, and especially after 70, you don't actually need a wide circle of friends. That might sound surprising at first, maybe even a little lonely. But if you stay with me through this video, you might start to see things differently. Because what if letting go of friendships that no longer serve you isn't a sign of isolation, but a sign of growth, self-respect, and peace? What if the secret to a deeply fulfilling life after 60 has less to do with others and more to do with finally choosing yourself? Let's be honest. For most of our lives, friendships have been a part of how we define who we are. In school, it was about belonging. In your working years, friendships were tied to colleagues, neighbors, community events, shared experiences. Some were deep and lasting. Many were just situational. But as you move through the seasons of life, especially after retirement, that circle begins to change. People move away. Some pass on. Others fade out. And you're left wondering, do I need to replace them? Do I need to keep filling the gaps? Or is it okay to finally stop chasing friendships and start focusing inward? You see, one of the biggest reasons you don't need friends the way you used to is because by now, you've already lived through a phase of life where social validation mattered. Think back to your younger years. How often were your decisions influenced by how you be perceived? You went to events, not because you wanted to, but because you didn't want to be left out. You kept in touch with people who drained you because it was expected. You smiled, nodded, and agreed even when you disagreed, just to keep the peace. But after 60, something precious happens. The need for approval begins to fade. You realize you no longer have to prove yourself to anyone. You've already done the work. You've raised families, built careers, survived heartbreaks, loss, change. You've earned the right to be exactly who you are, without explanation. And when you stop chasing friendships that are rooted in the need to be accepted, you free yourself. You begin to see which relationships were real and which were simply based on old roles you no longer need to play. Many people don't talk about the emotional labor that comes with maintaining friendships in your later years. The return calls, the coffee invitations you don't feel up to, the guilt when you cancel plans. The energy it takes to listen to the same old complaints or smile through surface-level conversations that bring you no joy. You begin to notice that many friendships, even the long-standing ones, are built more on habit than connection. And once you start to pull back, you realize that peace, the kind that settles into your bones, is worth more than another brunch with people who don't truly see you. Take Helen, for example. At 72, she was still juggling birthday parties, weekly Zoom calls, and old friends who expected her to always be available. But over time, it started to feel like a performance. She wasn't enjoying it. It wasn't filling her up. It was draining her. So she did something brave. She slowly stepped back, not with anger, not with resentment, but with quiet self-respect. She didn't announce it or explain herself. She just stopped showing up where she didn't feel alive. And something beautiful happened. In the space where those obligations used to be, she found rest. She found silence. She found herself. The truth is, peace becomes more valuable than company. And that doesn't mean you don't love people or value connection. It simply means you love your own company enough not to dilute it with people who don't enrich your soul. After 60, solitude isn't something to fear. It's something to savor. It's in those long, quiet mornings, the slow coffee, the walks with no destination, the books you finally have time to read, the hobbies you rediscover. You begin to realize that being alone and being lonely are not the same thing. Loneliness is the absence of connection. Solitude is the presence of self. And here's something else most people won't say out loud. Fewer friendships also mean fewer disappointments. If you've lived long enough, you've seen it. Friends who vanish when you're struggling. People who were there for the good times, but disappeared in the hard ones. Or relationships that felt one-sided, where you gave more than you got. After 60, your tolerance for disappointment begins to shrink. You no longer have the emotional bandwidth to chase people or question your worth because someone didn't text back. You start to realize that the friendships that are meant to last won't require chasing. They just flow. They feel easy. They feel mutual. And if they don't, you no longer take it personally. You let it go. There's a quiet dignity in no longer needing to be everything for everyone. You stop explaining your boundaries. You stop apologizing for needing rest, for craving silence, for saying no. You realize that protecting your energy is not selfish. It's survival. It's wisdom. Because after 60, your time becomes more precious than ever. You begin to see it for what it really is. Sacred. You've watched years fly by. You've learned what matters and what doesn't. You've outlived some people you thought you'd never lose. And that changes you. It teaches you not to waste a single minute on things that drain you, including friendships that feel more like work than joy. Look at Charles, who's 77. For most of his life, he was a nice guy. Always showed up. Always said yes. Always available. But over time, he started to feel invisible. People expected his kindness, took it for granted. And when he finally started saying no to events, no to friends who only called when they needed something, he noticed how few people really valued him. That realization hurt, but it also set him free. Because once you stop bending over backwards to keep friendships alive, the right people reveal themselves. The ones who respect your boundaries. The ones who stay even when you stop performing. And that brings us to one of the most liberating truths you'll ever discover in your later years. True companionship comes from within. Most of us spend decades trying to find it outside ourselves. Through relationships, through roles, through others' opinions. But if you're lucky, after 60, you start to come home to yourself. You begin to enjoy your own company. You talk to yourself with kindness. You listen to your own needs. You become the kind of friend you always wished you had. And from that place of inner peace, everything else becomes optional. Not necessary, optional. Take Grace, who lives alone at 81. Most people assume she must be lonely, but they'd be wrong. She's never been more content. Her days are full, not of people, but of presence. She writes letters, tends her plants, makes tea in silence, feeds the birds, walks slowly, thinks deeply, and in her own quiet way, she's built a life that is rich with meaning, not because she has a crowd around her, but because she has herself, fully, finally. When you begin to see friendship not as a requirement, but as a bonus, you also stop tolerating shallow connections. You become selective, discerning. And that's not bitterness. It's growth. It's knowing your own worth. And when you live from that place, you no longer fear solitude. You welcome it. You protect it. Because you know that time spent with yourself is never wasted. It's where clarity comes. It's where healing happens. It's where your soul exhales. Letting go of old friendships, even ones that lasted decades, doesn't mean they weren't meaningful. It just means they serve their purpose. Not every relationship is meant to last forever. Some are seasonal. Some are situational. Some are lessons. And when their time ends, that's not failure. It's life. It's natural. What matters is whether you're holding on out of love or out of fear. And if it's fear of being alone, fear of change, fear of being judged, it's time to ask yourself, what am I really afraid of? Because when you clear the space that old, unfulfilling friendships used to take up, something powerful happens. You create room for peace, for presence, for new, unexpected joys. You might find that you laugh more when you're alone than you did with people who didn't understand you. You might discover parts of yourself that were buried under years of social performance. You might even find a whole new rhythm to life that has nothing to do with keeping up appearances and everything to do with feeling deeply at ease. And here's the final truth. Embracing solitude after 60 isn't about giving up on people. It's about choosing yourself. It's about honoring your energy, trusting your instincts, saying yes to what nourishes you and no to what doesn't. It's about finally living life on your own terms, not based on what society expects, not based on what your past demanded, but based on what your present soul needs. So if you ever felt guilty for pulling back from friendships, or if you worry that letting go means giving up, this is your permission to stop. You are not failing. You are evolving. You are not isolated. You are becoming whole. The quieter your life becomes, the more clearly you'll hear what really matters. And that voice inside, the one that says, I'm okay just as I am, that's the one you've been waiting to trust your whole life. You don't need a crowd to be complete. You just need truth, peace, presence, and the courage to follow your own rhythm, even if it means walking alone for a while. Because sometimes in the silence, you hear your soul speak for the first time in years. If you've made it this far in the video, I want to thank you. Your time is precious, and I don't take it lightly. If this message resonated with you, if you felt seen, understood, or simply a little more at peace, please leave a comment below and tell me what spoke to you the most. And if you haven't subscribed yet, consider doing so. Your support helps us continue creating content that informs, empowers, and gently reminds you that your later years can be your most liberated yet. Until next time, take care of yourself. You are enough, just as you are.